I got a goal. No. That's so much stronger than me. Did you say that?
ما راح خليها تفوت.
يلا تعالي معها شوي.
Well. Did you see that? A clean strike, calm posture, straight into the goal. Somebody called a Premier League scouts immediately because apparently the Duchess has a penalty technique that deserves recognition. But jokes aside, what you just watched is one of those simple, joyful moments that says a lot more than 1,000 carefully crafted royal press statements ever could. During a charity visit to the Zaatari refugee camp in Jordan, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, stepped up to a football positioned at the penalty spot, surrounded by kids who were already buzzing with excitement and energy. She placed the ball down carefully, took a breath to center herself, stepped forward with purpose, and struck a clean, controlled shot that rolled straight past the goalkeeper and into the goal. And the reaction? Absolutely pure joy. Kids clapping enthusiastically, some jumping up and down, a little wave of excitement running through the entire group like electricity, and Meghan herself raising her arms for a second, clearly amused, clearly enjoying the spontaneous moment. It was playful, light, human, real. Which, naturally, means somewhere in a London newsroom, somebody is probably typing a 900-word article analyzing the controversial symbolism of penalty kicks or questioning her motives for participating, because heaven forbid people just enjoy a joyful moment without turning it into a psychological analysis. But let's actually talk about what this visit was about, where this happened, because behind the fun, there's something genuinely important here that deserves attention. The moment you just saw happened at the Zaatari refugee camp, one of the largest refugee camps in the entire world. Located in the Mafraq Governorate in Jordan, about 10 kilometers from the Syrian border, Zaatari has become home to tens of thousands of people. Estimates often range between 80,000 to over 100,000 residents, displaced by the ongoing Syrian conflict that has now stretched over a decade. Families who fled violence, children who've known nothing but displacement for significant portions of their lives, young people who have had their educations interrupted, their futures put on hold, their lives fundamentally disrupted by circumstances completely outside their control. When you hold that reality in mind, when you remember the context of where this is happening, the image of kids cheering enthusiastically around a football goal suddenly becomes a lot more meaningful and poignant. Because in places like Zaatari, sports programs aren't just entertainment or leisure activities to fill time. They are therapy for trauma. They are psychological support. They are structure in environments that can feel chaotic. They are community building in displaced populations. They give young people something incredibly important that's easy to take for granted, a sense of normalcy, of childhood, of just being a kid. A football match in a refugee camp may last only an hour, maybe 90 minutes if they're doing a full game. But for that hour, for those 90 minutes, kids get to just be kids, not refugees defined by displacement, not statistics in a humanitarian report, not victims of conflict. Just teammates, just friends, just children playing a game they love. They get to compete, laugh, celebrate, experience frustration at a missed shot, feel the thrill of scoring, all the normal emotions of childhood sport. And that psychological respite, that temporary return to normalcy, is incredibly valuable for mental health and development. That's why visits like this matter beyond just the photo opportunity. From the moment Prince Harry and Meghan began their public life together, one thing has always been consistently clear in how they approach engagement work. They engage. They genuinely participate. They don't stand 10 feet away from activities, shaking hands awkwardly for a photo and leaving immediately after. They jump in. They talk with people, not at them. They listen to stories. They participate in activities. And yes, occasionally they kick a football and score a penalty. This kind of direct interaction and participation is especially meaningful and impactful for young people Because when someone well-known, someone famous, someone from a position of privilege actually joins the activity instead of just observing it from the protected sidelines, the whole dynamic shifts completely. It stops feeling formal and stiff. It stops feeling like a visit from important people who don't really want to be there. It becomes fun. It becomes real. It becomes a genuine connection. And that's exactly what we saw in this viral clip. Meghan didn't treat the moment like a ceremonial photo opportunity to check off a list. She didn't stand on the sidelines applauding politely while others played. She joined the game directly, set the ball down herself, and took the shot like she genuinely meant it, like she wanted to score. Now, listen. I'm not pretending we just witnessed a World Cup highlight reel moment destined for greatest goals compilations. But let's be completely honest here. That was a pretty decent penalty kick by any reasonable standard. The technique was simple, but fundamentally solid. She didn't rush the approach, which is a common mistake in penalty situations when people get nervous. She kept her balance centered throughout the shot, maintaining body control. She struck through the ball cleanly with proper contact, not just poking at it. And she sent it low toward the goal, which is actually tactically smart. Low shots are genuinely one of the hardest types for goalkeepers to stop in penalty situations. The ball stays quick along the ground. It's hard to reach in time, especially for young keepers. And if it's placed well toward either post, it slips right past before the keeper can react. Which is exactly what happened in this instance. The ball rolled confidently across the line, and the kids instantly erupted in celebration. And you can see Meghan laugh genuinely and raise her arms for a second in that universal gesture of athletic celebration, clearly enjoying the spontaneous moment. That's the energy, that authenticity that made this clip so charming and shareable. It wasn't staged or choreographed by handlers. It wasn't over-rehearsed or practiced beforehand. It was spontaneous and real. Now, let's zoom out a little from this specific moment and look at the bigger picture. Because the football moment isn't random or meaningless, it connects to something much larger. Sport has long been recognized and used strategically in humanitarian programs around the world as a development and therapy tool. Football, in particular, soccer for American audiences, is one of the most powerful tools available for youth engagement in difficult circumstances. Why? What makes football so effective? Because it's genuinely universal. You don't need expensive, specialized equipment. You don't need complicated rules that require extensive explanation. You don't need perfectly maintained facilities. All you fundamentally need is a ball and a relatively small space to play. Kids from completely different backgrounds, speaking different languages, from different cultures, can play together instantly and understand the game. No translation required, no cultural barrier, just the universal language of sport. That's why so many humanitarian organizations, UNHCR, Save the Children, Right to Play, and others, use football programs extensively in refugee camps and displaced communities. These programs promote teamwork and cooperation. They build confidence and self-efficacy. They develop leadership skills. And crucially, they support emotional well-being and provide psychological benefits. So when public figures like Harry and Meghan join those activities, participate directly, it amplifies the visibility of programs that are already doing genuinely important work on the ground. If you watch the clip carefully, and I mean really carefully, paying attention to details, the best part isn't actually the goal itself, impressive as it was. It's the reaction from the kids surrounding the penalty area. There's genuine excitement there that you simply cannot fake or manufacture. Not polite clapping for cameras because adults told them to be respectful. Real cheers, little jumps, big smiles, spontaneous celebration. And that kind of authentic reaction tells you everything you need to know about the actual atmosphere in that moment, about how those kids were experiencing it. Because kids are brutally, refreshingly honest in ways adults often aren't. If something feels awkward or forced or fake, if they sense adults are performing rather than genuinely engaging, they shut down immediately. They become quiet or polite or distant. But here, in this clip, they were completely into it, fully present, genuinely excited. And that authenticity is what makes the moment feel real rather than staged. Of course, the internet did what the internet does best in the modern social media age. It turned a 5-second football kick into a viral moment spreading across platforms. People started sharing the clip enthusiastically, posting it on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, some praising the genuine interaction and participation, some joking lightheartedly that Meghan might have a future career in midfield if this whole Duchess thing doesn't work out, and others simply enjoying the pure wholesomeness of kids celebrating a goal scored by someone famous visiting their camp. Moments like this spread quickly and widely across the internet because they're fundamentally relatable. Everyone understands the simple joy of scoring a goal in any context. Everyone has memories of cheering with friends on a playground or field during childhood. It taps into something universal about human experience and emotion that transcends cultural and linguistic boundaries. Now, here's the interesting and frankly exhausting thing about moments like this. When moments like this involve Prince Harry and Meghan, Duchess of Sussex specifically, the reaction from certain corners of the British media becomes fascinating in its predictability. Suddenly, a harmless, joyful moment becomes a debate topic, becomes something to analyze and criticize. Body language experts mysteriously appeared to analyze her posture and facial expressions. Columnists write pieces analyzing every smile, every gesture, every detail for hidden meaning. And someone inevitably finds a way to complain, to turn something positive into something questionable. Because apparently, kicking a football with refugee kids during a humanitarian visit is somehow controversial now. The logic seems to work like this, and it's maddening. If they smile too much during difficult visits, it's performative and insensitive. If they look serious and somber, they're cold and disconnected. If they participate actively in activities, it's attention-seeking behavior. If they stand back and observe respectfully, they're disengaged and not really caring. It's a lose-lose game, deliberately designed to be unwinnable. And yet, moments like this penalty kick keep cutting through all that media noise. Because ordinary people watching the clip, people not invested in manufactured controversy, people just seeing the moment for what it is, can see exactly what it represents. A simple human interaction, a moment of joy, a connection between someone visiting and kids excited to share their space. Nothing more complicated than that, nothing less authentic than that. The kids were happy. Meghan was engaged, a goal was scored, everyone celebrated. That's the whole story. That's the complete truth of the moment. At the end of the day, the most important thing about this moment isn't actually the goal itself or Meghan's technique or the viral nature. It's the visibility it brings to places like Zaatari refugee camp. Millions of people around the world scrolling through social media may never have heard of Zaatari before seeing this clip. They might not know where it is, what it represents, who lives there, or why it exists. But a viral clip featuring a recognizable figure can spark up genuine curiosity. People see it, think, "Where is that?" and look it up. They click links, they read articles, they learn about the families currently living there, building lives in temporary structures that have become permanent. They learn about the challenges refugees face: education access, healthcare, economic opportunities, family separation, trauma. And suddenly, a small moment on a football field becomes part of a much larger, more important conversation about displacement, conflict, humanitarian response. That's the genuine power of visibility and platform when used thoughtfully. And it's something Prince Harry and Meghan have used consistently, strategically throughout their humanitarian work, shining light on communities and issues that don't always get sustained global attention from mainstream media: refugee populations, mental health struggles, veterans' challenges, women's empowerment in underserved communities. They use their platform, which they have, whether critics like it or not, to direct attention toward work that matters. Sometimes that happens through formal speeches and partnerships. Sometimes it happens through a penalty kick that goes viral.
Both matter. Both have impact in different ways. So yes, at its core, it was just a penalty kick. A ball placed on a spot, a short approach, a strike, the ball rolling into a goal. Kids cheering enthusiastically. A quick laugh from Meghan, arms raised in celebration. But sometimes, often actually, the smallest moments tell the biggest stories about who people are and what they value. They remind us that joy can appear anywhere, even in the most challenging circumstances. Even in refugee camps housing people displaced by conflict. Even in temporary communities built from necessity rather than choice. Joy persists. Childhood persists. Play persists. And they remind us that genuine connection doesn't require grand speeches or formal ceremonies or carefully choreographed events. Sometimes it's as simple as kicking a football with kids who just want to play. And judging by that shot, judging by the clean technique, the successful outcome, the kid's enthusiastic response, Meghan might want to keep her boots ready and available, just in case the kids at Zaatari ask for a rematch when she visits again. Because something tells me they absolutely will ask. Because that's what kids do. They remember the fun moments. They remember the adults who actually played with them rather than just observing. And they'll want to see if they can beat her next time. If you enjoyed seeing this joyful moment from Jordan, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more coverage of Harry and Meghan's humanitarian work, and share this with people who need some wholesome content. And let me know in the comments, did Meghan score the cleanest royal penalty we've ever seen, or should we start seriously scouting her for the next charity match? Either way, one thing is undeniable. That was a pretty solid goal. Clean technique, successful outcome, kids celebrating, joy spreading. And in a world that often feels heavy, sometimes that's exactly what we need to see. Thanks for watching, everyone. Until next time, stay joyful, stay engaged, and maybe practice your penalty kicks. I'll see you in the next one.